Drink beer. Think beer. You're listening to Brew Bloods.
Wherever beer is brewed, all is well. Wherever beer is drunk, life is good. That from... It's a Czech proverb. Is it still Czechoslovakia?
I don't know, actually.
One of the former Baltic states.
There's too much disruption over there.
I think it's the Czech Republic now, so I don't think they're no longer a Slovakia. They are a republic.
Okay.
Which I don't know what the difference between a Slovakia and a republic is. All I know is that republic is more of a Latin word than a Slovakia.
Well, that'll be in a shorty. We can analyze the differences.
Perhaps Slovakia is Czech for republic. For Baltic Republic.
Then why would they go from a Slovakia to a republic?
To be more English friendly. When the wall fell and they brought down the USSR, we're like, hey, we need to change. We need new marketing.
We're gonna go ahead and go with Western terms.
We need a new PR department. We need to go. We need to be the new Coke of countries.
So we won't really change the name. We'll just go ahead and convert it for everyone that didn't know that's what it was.
Right, exactly. That's all they really cared about was putting more lipstick or new lipstick, a new shade of hot pink lipstick on that pig.
On the existing pig.
On that Baltic pig, yeah.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with pigs because pigs produce beautiful, delicious bacon.
They do.
So let me be the first person, Dustin, to welcome you to National Model Railroad Month. That is the month of November, on November 2nd.
Isn't every month has some kind of national something month associated with it?
There is.
And then I feel like almost every day is starting to get that way, too.
Oh, definitely. Because we are not only a National Model Railroad Month, but we are also celebrating Plan Your Epitaph Day.
Oh, okay, of course.
Which just happens to fall on the same day as All Souls Day on November 2nd. Unless it's a Sunday, in which case it will take place on November 3rd. But today is Plan Your Epitaph Day, so I don't know if that also follows the same Sunday pattern as All Souls Day, but as we're celebrating dead people and the fact that they cannot go to heaven without being prayed for previously because their sins were not expunged,
right?
We're also planning our own epitaph. So what would be on your epitaph, or when you die? What do you plan? Do you have a whole manuscript written out, something like a treatise?
I think it'll just be a Drink Beer, Think Beer logo.
Just a logo?
Yeah, exactly. I won't even say the name of the show. It'll just be the logo.
It'll just be a Drink Beer, Think Beer emoji?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we won't be speaking by the time we die anyway. It'll all be emojis, so it'll be some kind of gathering of emojis that says Drink Beer, Think Beer.
How long until emojis start talking for us? Verbally talking?
Pretty quickly. I have a feeling that's right around the corner.
My epitaph is just going to be a vomit emoji.
Oh, okay.
Although I don't plan to be buried. I feel like it's a waste of ground to put me in it. So I've planned just for every one of you when I die, there's a party, and all of you will sniff my ashes. Do a nice base of cocaine in my ashes.
We'll just put you in the mix in the punch bowl.
No.
And drinking.
There's no drinking. It's all sniffing.
Oh, well, that's not very... at least put you in a thing of beer, right?
I will allow you to. I will allow you to smoke me or sniff me.
Well, that's not cool.
Or inject me.
It's like you don't even support the show in your death.
I don't. Who cares? I'm dead. I want to go out my way.
Don't you want to be remembered? This is the only thing you've ever done that's going to be noteworthy.
Thanks. I have a bright outlook on my life for that. That's probably true. I'm not saying you're wrong on that.
I didn't. Yeah, I was just being factual. I'm sorry. Sometimes you need the tough love like that.
Well, I
understand. Or the tough facts.
Sometimes you need to be confronted about your addictions and your addiction to life, and just go ahead and end it. End it all.
You're known for a podcast and living in a chair. That's what you're known for.
Haven't accomplished much else in life, but I've grown my butt into a chair
and done a podcast about beer.
And I will force all of you to sniff me or shoot me up.
Right
when I die.
We won't, though. We'll just drink you.
No, you will.
We'll drink you in protest.
I will have my robot emojis come and hold you down and inject it straight in your butt.
Exactly.
Inject bits of me straight into your butt.
That's interesting and strange.
No, I know.
That's worse than snorting.
The emojis are taking over. Emoji robots.
Fair enough.
Everybody we grafted to a chair, they will rip you out of the chair, bend you over, and inject bits of me straight into your.
I was going to say, if you're grafted to the chair, then they can't really do that.
I'm gonna be buried with my chair. I'm going to be buried.
You won't have an option.
Well, that's true. They can't detach me from it.
Right, exactly.
My roots will have grown deep.
It's already part of you.
So, National Railroads. Here, Model Railroad Day.
Not regular railroads.
No, just model. Who cares about the regular trains?
Sure.
They're just, flipping over. Amtrak's are flipping over and exploding every day, but...
They just haul crucial goods across the country, but who cares about that?
Who cares? That's what we have trucks for.
We're talking about the model version of that.
Right. And that's what I've never understood, is the fascination with the model railroad. Because...
I'm not a model guy in general.
I used to enjoy building the models, but, you can hang them from the ceiling, whatever. First of all, a model railroad...
But yours was like a weird science type model.
Yeah,
you build chicks.
Right. Out of bits of Barbies.
Right, exactly.
But I've never understood the model railroad, because once it's there, okay. You just watch a train go in circles. I guess the fun is in building the thing.
It might even cross itself with a bridge.
That's true.
Don't forget that excitement.
And one of the cards might be carrying some Christmas trees.
Hey-o.
Or some pipes. Hey, look, it's Mayor Bill over by the post office, by my tiny fake post office.
Hello!
I just never understood the fascination with the model railroad. Maybe somebody can explain this to me someday, but I've never understood it. Like, you build a whole town, and then once you're done, when you've run out of basement or garage space, what do you have left?
No one will be able to tell you that. Because I don't think anyone over 60 does that, do they?
I don't know.
Look, that's an old man's game.
Bobby from The Sopranos, he was under 60.
Yeah, true.
And before he was killed, or when he was killed, he was building a model railroad.
He was like
Spoiler
58,
alert.
though.
Well, that's still under 60.
Okay.
Your qualification was 60 plus, you build model railroads.
Fair enough. Well,
59 and younger, you don't.
It still fits in my other qualification that said an old man's game.
58 is the new 22.
Is it?
Yes, it is. According to AARP magazine.
Okay. Well, you are an avid subscriber.
And according to Butt in Chair magazine.
You're not just a standard subscriber.
Grafted
You're
Butt
an
magazine.
avid subscriber.
Yeah, I get the specialty magazine, Grafted Butt.
Right. It's a really weird cover.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually sealed together with a little grafting cutout that you have to peel apart.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very inside.
Yeah, unlike some glues, there's nothing to dissolve the bond between me and my butt and my chair.
Right, exactly. That's a good point.
It makes it really hard to get downstairs, too.
I'm sure it does.
There's a lot of falling. I can't tuck and roll very well in this thing.
I don't know how you poop in it either. That's another odd part of it.
That's why I had my wife cut a hole in the bottom.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Leading to a paint bucket.
I was wondering what that noise was.
Yeah, she was cutting this entire time.
Followed by the odor.
So we should follow up on last week about the Northern Brewer acquisition.
I thought this was last week.
I thought this was next week.
Oh, okay.
But already there's been a little bit of fallout. A company called Indeed Brewing, who recently launched their beer kits on Northern Brewer for their Northern Brewer. They launched their Pro Series Day Tripper Midnight Rider IPA recipes or kits on Northern Brewer, and they have, because of the acquisition of AB InBev, they decided to pull out from Northern Brewer. A little bit of beeritis interruptus.
Oh, that makes sense.
Brewer, because they said, quote, time and time again, Anheuser-Busch InBev has demonstrated through their calculated acquisitions that their intention is to erode the very principles that the craft beer industry is built upon. We believe that if they succeed, access to market for small, local, independent breweries will be curtailed, and craft beer consumers will suffer as a result. While we completely support Northern Brewer and its employees, we can't throw our support behind its new ownership and that company's strategy of attempting to control the craft beer market.
And again, that's Northern Brewer.
Northern Brewer.
I know Mark says it really weird. But
Northern Brewer. Right. You didn't know that was the official pronunciation. It's not Northern Brewer. It's Northern Brewer.
I did know that, but I don't think everyone knows that. So
started out as just
right.
But then they decided, well, that's kind of hard to spell.
Yeah, so we have to define it a little bit.
Then it became Northern Brewer, which is still easier to spell because you know there's at least an N in there. And then it became, they're like, well, still it's hard to spell spale and braille. So they decided to go with Northern Brewer because those are real words, not just meow.
Yeah, you go with a very elitist tone to a very country tone.
So it's spiled.
Your accents are all over the place.
It's spiled Northern Brewer.
Right.
But it's actually pronounced meow.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
And although AB InBev, don't trust them, they may actually change their name to Northern Brewer instead of meow.
Yeah, that's true. They probably will. They probably will, more than likely.
But to us craft beer insiders, it will always be known as meow. Or if you're going for short, just meow.
That being said, I'm not surprised it's happening.
No, of course not.
I feel like that's going to be a big push for a lot of the craft beer community. I think there's going to be some other new homebrew thing that's going to just take it over.
One would hope.
It's going to take over that slice that is actually independent.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody to rise up and take over and take from that crowd that in the homebrew that, I mean, how many homebrewers really want to buy from Northern anymore?
Probably none.
Especially for homebrew competitions, and you talk about the really serious bros out there. Unless
you're trying to make an America clone.
Yeah.
Then you can buy from them.
Exactly. Why would you want to dip your money, especially the amount of money some of those guys spend on supplies to make their brewer,
to make the most generic macro beer that you possibly can get?
Why would you want to hand over that much money to somebody like AB InBev?
That's true. Or to make an AB InBev clone.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing if you're in a spot, right? Like if you're in an emergency, you need a thing, or you're at a game and you gotta go. All you have is AB InBev beers,
right,
to choose from. But when you're willingly making your own product,
right? Yeah. Why would you homebrew that?
Yeah. Why would you go shop from Nimmermuir to get supplies and feed into the coffers of AB InBev?
Yeah, I've already seen those Facebook targeted ads around that as well. That there's a big Texas homebrew company that's bringing all that up and saying, yeah, you don't want to buy from the big guys. We're over here.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely going to be a movement.
I shan't be buying from Northern Brewer again. Unless I cannot get some product anywhere else. Not that I'm a big home brewer anyways. But
you're always brewing constantly.
I can't. It's hard to get downstairs, and my wife doesn't enjoy me firing up the burner here in the office. So right. I have to sometimes, when I can roll down the stairs very slowly, then I can set a fire outside and fire up my kettle.
It's a very fart and fall over moment seeing you go down the stairs.
Oh, good God.
Right.
So we're turning 75 with this episode, and we decided it's been long enough. We've managed to evade the Prairie Assassins for this long. We decided we're going to take another look at the Prairie Bomb from Prairie Artisan. I guess it's just Bomb from Prairie Artisan, but
it's been a long time issue on this show.
Yeah, we've had the mob
chasing us for years at this point.
We've been on the lam for a long time now.
We're kind of tired of running.
We are tired.
We're
running on empty, as the song says.
Yeah, you can't run anymore.
We decided we're gonna bring out our big guns. We're turning and facing the enemy, and we're gonna fire back and evaluate what does the Prairie Bomb taste like these days.
Exactly.
We'll find out after this. If you live in Texas, you've probably heard of Real Ale, a brewery out of Blanco. But do you understand what actual Real Ale is? Real Ale also has several other names: real beer, cask-conditioned ale, or cask beers. The term Real Ale came about in 1970s England, when macro brews started taking off and threatening traditionally brewed beers. This sparked the campaign called Campaign for Real Ale, or CAMRA for short, and it had an aim of helping out and promoting traditional brewers. Though there are exceptions, traditional real ales are unfiltered and unpasteurized, and they're served from wooden casks or glass bottles, which act as secondary fermenters for the beer, where live yeast produces natural carbonation and provides additional flavors, unlike metal kegs where the yeast is filtered out. Casks are delivered by the brewery to pub owners, and it's up to the pub owner or cellarman to monitor the beer and determine when it's ready to serve. When the beer is ready, the beer will be pulled from the tap either using gravity, a hand pump, or an electric pump, rather than the forced pressure of a keg beer. The product in the glass is also different than what you would expect out of a kegged beer. There's a wild variety of styles, but in general expect to see less head, less carbonation, and it should be served at room or cellar temperature. However, be warned, once tapped cask beer has an extremely short shelf life. A general rule of thumb is 48 hours in the summer and 72 hours in the winter. Over that time, you'll see the flavors change in the beer, but after that, oxidation will start spoiling the beer. Some brewers like Brewdog contend the real ale no longer has any real meaning in the industry, and that CAMRA is out of touch. It's up to you to decide if real ale is pretentious or important, but when someone tells you they have a real ale and they serve it or store it incorrectly, you can now point and laugh at them and make jokes about their mothers. So, back in episode 17, we took on the Prairie Bomb.
We were wee kids back then.
We were wee tots.
You could get out of your chair back then. We were mobile. It was a good time.
I had not yet grafted to my seat.
That's true. Your legs actually served a useful purpose.
I actually went and ventured out into the public once in a while.
Right? Yeah, you left your house.
I burdened the public with my presence.
You left your house almost daily back then.
Almost daily, yeah. I drove in cars, things like that. I ate in restaurants. I didn't just eat from a feed bag.
Just like a constant dripping bag that kind of just feeds you a liquid of some sort that sustains you.
Now the only thing I have a regular saline drip to my body, and I eat from a feed bag.
Right.
That's how far things have gone uphill, gone downhill.
And your legs are now complete gelatin.
Oh yeah, they're completely withered now. Yeah,
right.
They're little stumps. And that's just because I had them cut off and shaped into little stumps.
Right.
I had tiny little crow's feet put in my knee nubs.
Because you might as well do something.
Yeah, I mean,
it's something that's hanging there.
They're just hanging there anyways. They're just burdens. They get in the way when I'm trying to roll back and forth. So,
but that shows how long ago it was. Though.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And
I think you used to actively work out. I mean, you were always up there at the gym, and you were starting to get ripped and everything. And then it all turned,
pumping those guns all the time. But now it's just it's fat, blobby, and crow legs.
I think it may have turned due to this episode, because this is when the mob came out.
Yeah, exactly. When they came after me, I got depressed.
Now you had to watch, you had to look over your shoulder everywhere you went. Someone was going to try to take you out, and you're just like, now if I just don't leave, then no one can do that.
Right.
And then it just grew into this.
And if they end my existence, is it really that great a loss? When you've got knee nubs and with crow's feet attached.
Is your current existence better? Maybe it is.
Yeah, exactly. When you're when you're just living with a constant saline drip.
So maybe you're thanking the mob
Yeah.
for turning your life into this.
And it's not even like I was like I was, first of all, strangely, a willing amputee.
Right.
I have a weird amputee fetish. And then on top of that, I'm not strong enough to be like one of those guys that's, the guys that suffer from tragic limb loss and they go into like rollerball.
Right.
Or murder ball, or whatever it's called. Not rollerball, but murder ball. And they're always like punching each other in the face with the wheelchairs and doing ninja kicks with wheelchairs and stuff.
Right.
I'm not that cool. I'm like a total mess of an amputee. I'm just...
That is true.
And I don't want to seek, I don't want to seek therapy for my loss, my willing loss.
Yeah, I mean...
With my withered chair legs.
If you're happy, you're happy,
Yeah, exactly. I'm not cool. I have no wherewithal to get up and make my life better. I'm just a puddle of fat with a saline drip.
But as I am still someone that ventures out on occasion, I would like it to not always be like the last episode of The Sopranos. Every time I'm out eating, I think the guy is coming out of the bathroom is from Prairie and he's going to assassinate me just because I'm associated with the show.
Right.
Even though I wasn't near as harsh on this as you were, looking back.
That's true. Back in episode 17, we had was a dichotomy of the beers. You had a really, really good bomb, and I had a really, really bad bomb. Yours was more akin to what they self-described as.
Right.
Mine was mostly pepper, and not in a good way.
The one that I've had, or the one that I had then, was like most of the ones I'd had before. So I was happy with it. Trying Mark's, I can understand why his wasn't as good.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5, and keep in mind this is a really high-rated beer, even today.
Yes,
even
absolutely.
Yay upon 1 year later, it's still highly rated.
Oh, of course. And I would have expected that. But yeah, that's part of why we're revisiting this. We just want to give the backstory on that for those of you that haven't been here since episode 17.
It's probably our most famous episode, especially on Reddit. We got a lot of hate on Reddit because of that, because of the opinion that the truth that I spoke to the masses. Got a lot of hate on that.
That is very true.
Now, the Prairie, we've talked about them before, but things have sort of changed in the last year as far as their ratings go. They have definitely expanded more. They've been sold since then. In the last year, I forgot who they sold to, but they sold to a bigger company. And I don't know I can't remember, because I don't know that I've heard, if the Healy brothers, Chase and other Healy, if they went with the buyer or if they went on to start on the brewery. I can't really remember, and I'm not going to take the time to look that up right now. Right.
Yeah, we'll have that all discussed for you when we do the recap of Who is Prairie here coming up in the next break.
Right.
But just I don't know if people are familiar with all of the beers that Prairie does, because they do quite a few beers actually, and they really they tend to focus on two styles. Well, I guess three styles. They have the sour, then they also have the saison, which they're not the same, but they're kind of in the lighter floral family, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. So they have those two, and then they also have the stouts, and that's basically what they cover. Just to go through some of their current beers, their standard saison gets a 96 and 94 in style. They have the Evil Twin Bible Belt, which I don't know. Have you had that one, Mark? I'm pretty sure I've had it. And that one gets 100, 98 in style. They have their Prairie Ale Saison, which gets a 97, 96 in style. The Burra Saison, which gets a 91 and 85 in style. The Hop Saison, like I said, they do love the Saisons, which gets a 99 and 98 in style. And then, again, most of their stouts are all sitting in the 100 range as well. So nothing too lowly nothing low rated at all that I've seen on their list and their top rated beers. And this is anything that has at least around 350 reviews. So another very popular one of theirs is the Gold Mosaic, which is their sour wild ale. That one gets a 99 and 97 in style.
Yeah, so they're pretty highly rated overall. I think it's probably... Is it fair to say that... Let me ask you this. So most of their beers come in just a regular 12-ounce bottle.
Right.
The price to volume ratio, do you feel like it's a little high?
I feel like it's very high.
Because for a price of a bomb, which is 12 ounces, is here in Dallas is $10.
Yes.
For a bottle. And they become a lot more common now. So it's not, the price hasn't even gone down. It's stayed the same. So even though there's a lot more volume for this beer now, it's totally easy to find now.
Oh yeah,
the price has stayed the same, and I think they're probably right in the crest of the hype, whether you believe in that hype or not.
Sure,
I think that's a lot of times. I'm sure the beer. So Stefan from our researcher Stefan, who has his own podcast now, which you can find at What's on Tap podcast, by the way. It's a Euro beer centric podcast.
Thank you for knowing that.
But he begged us. He sent candy boxes. He sent a stripogram to beg us to review this beer because recently Prairie came out to Malmo, Sweden, where he lives, and he went to Tap Takeover, and so he had a bunch of their variants because for some reason they can get a lot more beers here that we should already have here in the States, all over the States, but we don't. But he begged us again, stripogram, and it was the weird thing is it was a stripogram of him.
Right. It was like a little hologram, like from Star Wars that pops up, but it was him stripping.
Yeah,
and saying, "Guys, can you please review the bomb?
Do you see my nips?
Yeah, I'm going to keep stripping until you review it."
He's been begging us for months. Been nagging me. He constantly nags me on Facebook about it and Twitter. Even though he doesn't use Twitter, he only uses it to bug me about reviewing this beer.
Just to DM you.
But I will say the price point has kept me from buying this beer sometimes. I realize $10 in the grand scheme of things isn't that much.
That's a lot for one beer.
Yeah, but some of their beers, even like I feel like the Brandy Noir, the Apple Brandy Noir was somewhere near $20.
Wow.
Like a total one. I could be wrong. It may have been somewhere around 15, but I know it was more than 10 when I bought it.
But and 15 to me is you're starting to push kind of high for a bomber, much less a 12 ounce.
Yeah, I agree. So it's a little like I feel like they're riding a little too high on the cost, but obviously it's working for them.
Sure,
it's not like me withholding my $15 is really going to sink their company, but and a lot of people swear by them. But I guess we'll find out how a fresh bomb evaluates right after this.
Prairie Artisan Ales was started in 2012 by the Healy brothers, though Chase Healy was the prominent voice of the duo. They say about the founding of Prairie, quote, "We didn't start it due to a lack of good beer or whatever people like to say about their founding history. We wanted to do something that was awesome. We have the talent and most importantly the years of experience needed to get it done. So we did it. We have funded the company on our own and only want to work with people that care about beer, super good beer. Our goal is to show people what is possible when you start with step one." Prairie brewed most of their beers with their partners at Chalk Beer Company in Krebs, Oklahoma. They're now owned by Krebs Brewing Company as of June 2016. Prairie Artisan has collaborated with the Swedish brewery Omnipollo and with Evil Twin Brewery out of Denmark via Brooklyn, New York. Their current taproom resides in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but they are expanding to Oklahoma City in the spring of 2017. They are currently distributed from 39 different states, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Australia, and Canada. They are available in the US, UK, France, Italy, Denmark, Latvia, Belgium, the Netherlands, Iceland, Japan, and Malaysia. Their most popular beer is their much-praised Prairie Bomb, an Imperial Stout. However, their top-rated beers tend to lean towards wild ales, sours, and saisons.
So it's not a good sign for this beer, the fact that after I poured this beer, I gave my wife, I gave her the chance to take a sip of this beer. She'd never had it. She immediately scrunched her face and said, "Yuck." Now, my wife is she's not necessarily a beer connoisseur like we are.
Right. She doesn't have the refined palate we do.
Well,
That's part of why she's not on the show.
She likes beer, but she prefers wine, right?
Right.
But
she doesn't think beer all the time.
But,
like we do.
But it's not a good sign when that's the immediate reaction to the scrunched face and the word yuck.
Sure. Now, I do think it's funny that we have to note the fact that Mark did go ahead and take a month off of drinking before drinking this beer, just like he did in episode 17. So he has a clean palate.
It's strange how those two things, like, that was totally not planned either.
No, he does it. He does it intentionally every time he's going to review Prairie.
Every time we go for a Prairie Bomb, which is all of 2 times now, I make sure and clean the runway with a month break.
Right, exactly. So he's not tainted by other beers, and so we're going to have a nice fresh opinion.
Now, one thing we should note, first off, before we get to the beer itself, is that because of our podcast, Prairie Artisan changed the label for the Prairie Bomb. One of our chief complaints last time was that when you think of the word bomb, what do you think of? You think of an explodey thing. You think of the movie Speed with Dennis Hopper and Keanu Reeves and not going below 50 miles an hour or whatever the speed was, or your mouth might explode. And in that case, it was not a mouthful of good flavor explosion. It was just, at the time, from my view, a poor taste explosion. But they changed their label to be more appropriate because at the time, their Prairie Bomb bottle was emblazoned with a bow and arrow target.
Right, exactly.
Yellow.
It made no sense.
It should have been called like Mockingjay or something, not bomb. A bow and arrow has nothing to do with the bomb.
So here's at you, Prairie Mob.
Yeah.
We had a very good point because that's why they changed it.
And because of us, it's been changed for the better. The new bottle is green, and it's got all kinds of wires. It's got things connected to a guy's brain. It's a lot more indicative of an actual bomb.
And it looks like a bomb. Yeah, it looks like bomb material.
Yes. It looks like you're drinking something that might explode in your face.
I even like the fact that they add all the ingredients that are in it, and they have different little dials that say how much of each is going into it that they're going to feed into the guy's brain. I think they've gone in very detail on this bottle, and I think it's a vast improvement. It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that the label is already on fleek, Mark.
It is on point. It is on
Yes.
fleek. It is the cat's pajamas, the bee's knees.
Absolutely.
Way to go. I'm glad Prairie listened to us. I'm glad that they understand that
They saw the feedback in the Reddit
Right.
forum. They know that we were fighting the good fight because we ended up winning. And so we appreciate that, Prairie.
And
That was good.
They realize that we are tastemakers.
Right.
And that's one point that the Prairie mob, when they came after us, they said, we're going to give you a pass. One day they gave us a pass because they knew we were right on the label. We got away that one time.
Right.
And they had us dead to rights when we were trapped in a gas station bathroom. And they said, you know what? We're going to give you this one because you were right about the label.
Oh
But
yeah,
you
we were almost goners that
Yeah,
time.
you better run fast because we're coming after you because of what you said about the taste, your overall impression of the beer.
Right.
So let's get to it. Now,
Especially you, high
especially
voice
me,
guy.
Of course. Me, the high voice guy,
Yeah.
of course. Now, the overall impression, this is an Imperial Stout, or double stout, however you want to call it. The overall impression from BJCP is that it should be an intensely flavored big dark ale with a wide range of flavor balances and regional interpretations. Generic. Despite these intense flavors, the components need to meld together to create a complex, harmonious beer, not a hot mess.
That is so unofficial sounding.
It is.
Hot mess. The
yeah.
use of hot mess.
And you can blame Chelsea Handler for that descriptor because I think she really brought that word into common, or that phrase into common parlance.
Right.
And the fact that it's infected the BJCP, it really...
Yeah, I always think the BJCP is like a bunch of guys, kind of like if you ever watched that popular show from the 90s called Frasier, and you have all the wine club guys hanging around.
Kind
and
of
their
feet,
big leather chairs.
yes.
And, you know, I'm thinking that's where they would be discussing these finer notes of beer, and I just don't see those guys issuing hot mess.
See, I really think of them of like like a Greek or like the Parthenon. People dressed in togas meeting for the Republic. You know, the delegates come to the Parthenon,
BJCP.
to the beer Parthenon, dressed in their togas, and they're stabbing each other in the back constantly.
Sure, well, of
And,
course, yeah.
like Caesar, you know, if they take down the latest judge, the top judge, every year they pick somebody to take down. They stab them all in the back.
Absolutely.
And they brew beer with his blood. Those traditions aside, that's what I tend to think of when I think of the BJCP, not a bunch of Chelsea Handlers or fat guys in Chelsea Handler masks.
But in fairness, in either one of our scenarios, hot mess doesn't fit.
True. Now, we have many dreams in our life, one of which is getting a fresh chip off the line, a hot chip off the Frito-Lay line, since they're right around the corner in
Right.
Plano here, but we'll probably never get to experience that. But this is a bomb fresh off the line, is at least as close as we're going to get it.
Sure.
It's fresh off the Total Wine shelf, straight into our mouths here. Now, let's go into the first category here, which is aroma, and it should be rich and complex with variable amounts of roasted grains, maltiness, fruity esters, hops, and alcohol. The roasted malt character can take on coffee, dark chocolate, or slightly burnt tones, and can be light to moderately strong.
Now, before we dive into this, I think it's worth noting the ratings for this particular beer we didn't cover yet. Beer Advocate gives it a 99. Rate Beer gives it a 100, and 99 in style. Untapped gives it a 4.35 out of 147,000 unique reviews, which... that is a high rating, but I will note that in episode 17, Untapped was giving it a 4.51. So maybe the hype's falling off just a little bit.
It might be. Maybe the bloom is off the rose.
Perhaps.
And last time, we should note, again, Dustin had the right beer, and mine seemed to be off. Like it
Right.
had been infected, or it came from a different beer. Like
They threw like 1,000 extra chilies in his.
Maybe it was a variant they decided not to note.
Right.
It's like the old hologram baseball cards. They throw 1 in a million packs. You know, you get the rare one.
So you won, but didn't really?
Yeah, maybe I was expecting to. Maybe I should have been expecting to win, and even though everybody knows that I lost and lost greatly,
Right.
But maybe I should have valued that beer a little more, and it should have been up there with like a Utopias or something, and I just didn't know it.
Right. It was a King Henry, basically.
Yeah, exactly. If I had that knowledge, I would have valued it a little more, and not
Right.
rated it as low as it was.
Which I was also reminded from episode 17, you always talk about the fact you had that.
Exactly. It was definitely a tale of two beers back
Right.
then. Now, aroma definitely has a lot of. It's like a peppery chocolate to it.
Yeah, peppery chocolate. It's not super spicy aroma, which is good, which leads me to believe maybe we actually have a couple of good ones this time. But yeah, it's a little spicy, but it's mostly chocolatey.
Yeah,
And,
before
it's good.
Before it was a spicy meatball on the nose,
Right.
And now it's definitely got a lot more chocolatey notes to it.
Right.
A lot more soothing tones on the nose.
That's when I thought you had a weird nose when you were saying that, when we were both smelling the same beer.
Well, the weird thing was I was wearing the fake mustache nose and glasses, the Groucho
Sure.
Marx nose, so that probably affected my ratings last time. The fact that I was wearing that, I was prepared to go into hiding, so I already had the
Right.
mask on. And everybody knows that nothing fools assailants such
Right.
as a Groucho Marx nose, glasses, and mustache.
And you had the fake cigar and everything, too.
Oh, yeah. And I did my best impression, which is terrible.
Again, Groucho Marx for the millennial.
Are
A
you
millennial
ready?
reference.
Are you ready for my impression of Groucho Marx?
Yeah, go ahead.
3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Groucho Marx. How's it going? I like cigars and mustaches.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm out.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I'm the world's best undercover training spy. I'm a Marxist spy.
You're a Marxist.
Yes, definitely a Marxist.
Yeah, but that's for another podcast.
But this is not as peppery as I remember. This is definitely a lot more well-rounded.
yeah, it's good. It smells delightful. I'm going to put delightful on there.
Ooh, that's quite the flowery descriptor.
Yeah.
Delightful.
You like that?
Now, the appearance, according to the BJCP, should be color may range from very dark reddish brown to jet black, definitely opaque, deep tan to dark brown head, generally has a well-formed head, although that may fade, obviously, over time. Now, I will say the head on this one, I looked at the picture on the Insta from, which you can follow us on Instagram, Brew Blood's show on there.
As the kids say, the Insta.
The Insta. There was definitely no head on that beer last time. It was completely flat. This time, however, we have a nice little thin head, creamy tan color, like a nice pair of khaki pants.
And the funny thing about it is, it poured really with no head, and then the carbonation's like building up a head as
Yes.
it's sitting, which is not very usual, actually. I don't see that. Usually a head is there and fades, and doesn't come back later.
And it's retaining nicely in a snifter. We are drinking out of snifters, we should note.
Absolutely.
So it's nice. It's a nice change there. It's like a nice head is like a nice pair of khaki cargo shorts. That's what this is.
Sure.
Tan in color, fits well, and has lots of room for expansion.
Yeah, and it's very carbonated, which is nice.
Yes.
And it is very jet black from what I can tell.
Yeah, it's definitely opaque. You can't see through this beer.
Yeah, I would say jet black, not even reddish.
No, not red at all. It's definitely the appearance of coffee for sure. A nice cup of coffee.
Coffee.
Now, flavor should be rich, deep, and complex, and frequently quite intense, with variable amounts of roasted malt grains, maltiness, fruity esters, hot bitterness, and flavor, and with alcohol with a medium to aggressive high bitterness. And mouthfeel should be full-bodied and chewy with a velvety, luscious texture, although the body may decline with long conditioning. So we are not conditioning this for a long time. Again, fresh hot beer off the line, so we should see full-bodied and chewy, allegedly.
Now, you ready for this, Mark? I mean, we've been waiting a long time for this.
We have been.
You've gone through your jelly leg phase. We've gone through, just everything, all your changes, all your life changes.
Changes.
Now, has your tongue changed? And did you get a better batch, or has your tongue changed? I guess we're about to find out.
I guess we're about to find out. Off the nose, I would have expected more pepper from this beer, because you can definitely smell the pepper coming out of that. But when you drink it, I don't know about yours, because again, we had a discrepancy last time. This is pretty much a coffee beer to me, a chocolatey coffee beer, like a mocha type beer.
It's very chocolatey. There's a little tiny hint of spice on the back end of it, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's how I always remember this beer to be: is pretty chocolatey, pretty coffee, and then a little bit of spice, and that's good. That's a good balance.
It's a nudge of spice on the back end. It's like a spicy chocolate, like just a common confection, not your specialty chocolates, of course, but just a little bit of a pepper chocolate to it.
I would
it's
say
not
pepper
overwhelming.
chocolate is probably a specialty chocolate. That's not a very common thing.
Whatever. Just agree with me and move on. Have you not learned after the last 60 plus episodes that you're just supposed to agree with me and move on with my analogies?
Don't try to actually
Don't try to analyze them. Don't deconstruct. Don't write. I know you're itching to write a textbook just about each of my analogies.
I'm gonna write a tell-all about all the analogies I had to ignore on this show.
It's gonna be Murder, She Wrote, but for my analogies.
Right. That's the full title.
Now, mouthfeel wise, it's very full bodied. It is somewhere on the slightly heavy side, not totally heavy. Not so heavy that I need to have Michael Jackson write a song about it. He ain't heavy as my brother, by the way.
Yeah. Another reference for the kids.
Again, references to the kids. But it's definitely full bodied. I don't know that chewy is the word I would go for, but
It's close to that, though.
it's thick.
It's not chewy, but it's close to that.
It's not like molasses or something. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like a. it's not sitting there, and I can't imagine that once I drink this fully that it's going to sit there in my stomach. It's just not. It's not, to me, it's not real heavy. It is thick, but it's not.
I think velvety is a good description.
Velvety. It's somewhere on this side of Guinness in some ways, as far as that texture goes. It's somewhat like a Guinness texture, but with a more appealing taste for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely more appealing taste.
Now up front, it's really, really chocolatey. A lot of coffee notes up front. That's definitely the bloom on this rose are the chocolatey coffee notes.
That's the kiss from this rose?
It's the kiss from the rose. And with just a little bit of spice, a little bit of hops on the back of your tongue and the roof of your mouth.
And I do think the vanilla bean is definitely helping to bring out the chocolatey taste, which I think is nice. I think a lot of these, a lot of coffee porters and things like that and stouts aren't necessarily, I guess, going for chocolatey. But I do like it when they add cocoa nibs and you really get a nice milk chocolatey flavor. Or like a sweeter chocolatey flavor, not just necessarily the shorty we did on Rogue. Their chocolate stout was good, but it was like a dark chocolate. I think that this sweet chocolate taste is a very good change for a lot of beers like this.
It's definitely a standout, and I will say this: it's definitely better than what we had, or at least I had last time.
Sure.
I'm guessing. Maybe should we trade beers real quick and just see if they taste the same?
I'm sure they're the same.
We did this experiment last time.
We had the exact same description this time, though. It was last time we were so far off we had to check.
All right, fine. You don't want to swap spit with me? Or are we just leaving that for off air?
Not in the chair days.
All right.
I did back when you could walk.
Oh, so you're actually asking me to work out and pump iron and have a fit body?
Right. Exactly.
I wonder if they'll be able to reattach my molded legs.
I doubt it. I think that's a ship that sailed.
When I cut them off with a rusty hacksaw, I just threw them to my dogs, and they gnawed on them for a while, and then they're like, this isn't that great.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them.
They would prefer to just eat poop off the ground, but
me too, actually.
But they've been gnawed in a few places. There's a lot of molds, a lot of that's set in, overgrown with moss. But maybe they'll be able to reattach them.
Otherwise, you just walk around on your crow feet.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of people have noted that. Just looking through some of the ratings on Rate Beer, a lot of people have noted the chocolate and vanilla mix and how that works really well with the subtle hint of spice. I will say though, the fact that they note the fact that it has spice and that it's so limited is a little surprising. I expected, and other ones I've had, these are the dominant flavors, but there's a little more spice kick to it in the past, and maybe that would come up more if it wasn't so fresh. Maybe in a few months that would come out more. But for now, yeah, it's interesting that it's not really there much at all.
It reminds me a lot of like a red wine with an oaky afterbirth. It's definitely more smooth and silky. Definitely to me has some red wine notes, almost some cognac notes to it.
Sure.
Definitely. I don't know why I can't pinpoint
some Scotch
exactly.
and Splenda notes.
Yeah, Scotch and Splenda. It's definitely the more peaty. Say in some ways on the.
Hey guys,
if you analyze the deeper flavors, I put in my little taste meter here. You definitely get some almost peaty flavor, at least to me. Some hey guys, some. Am I talking to Petey?
Exactly.
What's up, Petey? Go away before
he's
I kill
dead.
You.
He's already dead.
But definitely the peatier notes of Scotch, or some of the peatier Scotches, mossy Scotches. Definitely a deeper flavor than I definitely got last time.
Right.
But something about it reminds me of cognac, and I don't know why, but I'm just going to leave that out there.
Okay.
So, ratings.
So we meet again, Prairie Bomb. I guess that's what we could call this episode. We won't, but we could. And, I've had a few Prairie Bombs since this episode, and obviously had a few before the last episode. And they tend to be fairly consistent, outside of the very unfortunate incident we had last time. So that really surprised me, but it was what it was. That was then. That was walking mark. This is now. This is chair mark days, and days are good. In most ways, the days are good. There's a lot of unique things about this stout, in my opinion, compared to a lot of other stouts of this ilk. The really sweet chocolate taste of it is a good surprise. It's a little reminiscent of, to get a little local on you, our Lakewood Temptress. And the fact that they have a very good use of vanilla that tends to bring out the chocolate.
At this point, Lakewood might as well just buy us.
That's true. We may as well be the Lakewood cast. Yeah, that's true. But the Temptress is a good example, I think, of one in this category that does a very similar thing, and that they have talked about the fact that they increase the vanilla to bring in the chocolate. I think a lot of porters fail on that front and don't add the vanilla in to make the chocolate taste more chocolatey. So I think they do a good job of that with this. I think it might need a little bit more spice, just to add to its uniqueness. Overall, again, it's a kind of a unique taste, but I think that would make it even more unique if it was a little spicier. So maybe we could kick it up a little more.
So you do want more spice?
I would like a little more spice, but not to the extreme we had last time. But a little more than this would be good.
So you want a spicy meatball, but not a ghost pepper?
Yeah, just a little kick at the end. I think that would really balance it out nicely for the nice sweet vanilla, or not the vanilla, but the nice sweet chocolate coffee taste. If there was just a little kick to the tongue at the end.
So to you, but sugar and spice, everything is nice.
Absolutely, and I'm a spice fan. I like everything spicy.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I'm an IPA guy and I'm a spice guy. So there you go. Again, this is not my category because I'm usually an IPA guy. So let's see what you think of my opinion here. I think it does a good job of being velvety without being heavy, and I do appreciate that. I think a lot of these Imperial stouts can be really heavy. You could drink one and you're going to be feeling super bloated and super full, and you're going to wish that you were attached to a chair like Mark because you're just not going to want to walk around anymore. Some of them are really chewy and thick, but yeah, fortunately this one's velvety. So it almost feels thick, but it's also light, which I know sounds like a strange point and counterpoint, but it is a nice full beer without being too filling. I'll put it that way. Very drinkable beer. I would say dangerously drinkable at 13% ABV. I think you could drink a few of these because really alcohol is not noticeable. 13% is not a low ABV for beer, and I don't notice the alcohol notes in it at all. They're totally covered up by basically drinking not quite, but almost a dessert-style beer, in my opinion. So all of that said, I really like it. I don't know how well it fits in stout style, but I don't think that's a bad thing for this beer. A lot of ways it fits the categories, but I think it's almost a little sweeter than you would expect in this style. But if you like that, and I do like it in this case, normally I'm not a sweet beer fan or a sweeter beer fan, but this one does it very well. And maybe the hint of peppers helps balance it out to make me like it more. So I'm going to say I liked this one even better than the last time we reviewed this, which I gave it a higher rating than you did, but I'm going to go even higher, and I'm going to say this is a 4.5 out of 5.
That's all right. That's pretty stout territory. I'm going to go...
nice use of stout.
I'm going to call this beer, I'm going to give it the name of House of Pain. It's definitely word your mom came to drop bombs and they dropped a bomb in my mouth. And in a good way. I think this beer is actually what we should have had last time, but I didn't get. You got it, I didn't get it.
I think it may be called Comeback Kid, the way your rating is going.
Maybe so. Really wasn't House of Pain, weren't they the Comeback Kids?
No, I don't think
they were a
they've
little
ever come
band.
back.
They got their start in East Texas. They worked their way through the music industry to become the tyrants of music that they are today, the titans of music.
I think, again, for the kids, House of Pain was a band.
They had one song.
Right.
This beer to me is a lot like Johnny Depp now versus then. It's like, except it's in reverse almost. It's like back in the day, Johnny Depp used to make really, really good movies.
Right.
Now all he makes is garbage film where he was covered in scarves.
Right.
Last time I got Scarved Johnny, and now we've got 80s Johnny. He was a lot more...
This is the Benjamin Button version of Johnny Depp.
Exactly. It's Benjamin Button Prairie Bomb.
Right.
What we got last time was Scarvy Johnny. Now we've got 80s Johnny. He was a lot better actor in the 80s. A lot more independent. Nobody likes Scarvy Johnny. Scarvy Johnny needs to go away.
The previous Prairie Bomb we had was more like Willy Wonka sequel Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no one wants that one.
Exactly. And
Punchy Johnny, no one wants that.
Yeah, yes, beating up women Johnny.
Yeah, no one wants that.
No one wants that. That's what we got last time. It was
Right.
too spicy. There was not enough sweet. Like in the 80s, we had Sweet Johnny.
Right.
We had sweet complex Johnny.
We had Gilbert Grape Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Edward Scissorhands Johnny.
Edward Scissorhands. We had the sweet Johnny. He was sweet with a hint of edge, and that's what we got here today. Is sweet
The
with
Benny
some
and
edge.
June Johnny.
Benny and June Johnny, not Scarvy, not pre-Steven Tyler Johnny. I mean, he's growing into. Eventually, I think we will see Steven Tyler and Johnny Depp merge into one being.
Probably.
And there will be a pile of scarves, like walking scarves.
Yes.
That's what Johnny Depp has become today. But and that's what we got last time was pile of rags Johnny Depp, Steven Tyler. Today we've got 80s Benny and June Johnny here, complex Johnny, the softer side of Johnny, and it's a lot better for it. He's kind of like Bruno Mars, that I expected to hate the guy, but I actually liked Bruno Mars and what he's doing these days.
I know, we just watched SNL with Bruno Mars, and it was like, these songs actually aren't that bad.
He's actually a catchy guy. I didn't expect to like it.
Seems like a decent guy.
Seems like he works hard, and he respects the material upon which he was built.
Yes.
Now, this beer, I think it might be... Look, I'll agree, it's a very complex beer. It's got a lot going for it. I appreciate the fact that it evolves. When you breathe out, it's more spicy than when you breathe in. It's definitely lends itself to being more of a dessert beer, but...
That was Bush, though, by the way. It's not. That's you're quoting Bush now. I moved on from Johnny Depp to Bush.
relevant topics for the kids.
Again, for the millennials.
I think it might be a little overpriced at $9.99 a bottle, at least here in Texas, and I don't know where it goes for elsewhere, but I think it might be a shade overpriced, given how common it is now.
I think you should drive up to Tulsa and see what it runs up there.
True.
In the home base.
I think they could, if they knocked a couple of bucks off it, I think that would actually make it go up in points wise just for value. But it's a really, really good beer, even at $9.99.
You know, if they knocked a couple of bucks off of it, I would probably buy it a lot more often.
True, exactly. But this beer will pair well with barbecue, spicier foods, and then it could also serve as a dessert beer, which is nice. It's a multifaceted beer.
We haven't done a lot of dessert beers either.
We haven't, and this beer could be somewhat of a utility player in your dinner. But it's not, to me, it's like a 500-piece puzzle. It's not quite 1,000-piece. It's not something you can't defeat. It's a 500-piece puzzle of a nice town, something like that. It's got a lot of dark corners, got a lot of bright sunshine to it, but it's not like a kid's puzzle that has like 4 pieces.
It's like a church.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's not a 1,000-piece puzzle of a sky.
Right.
It's somewhere in between. It's a really it's a nicely composed beer. I think this is what we should have had last time, but I didn't get. It's really only getting a knock for I think the main thing is the price. I think it's a little too high in price. I really like the beer. It's not my favorite stout I've ever had, but I'm also going to come in at 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Giving us a final score of... 4.5 out of 5.
Man, that was some quick math you did there.
It was. Well, thanks for listening to Brew Bloods. Yet another episode 75.
BrewBloodShow@gmail.com.
If you're not subscribed to the show, you should be. Doesn't cost you a penny. Only ensures that you get the show from week to week. You can use any podcast app out there to find us and subscribe to us. But if you're not sure how to do that, just go to brewbloods.net. There's instructions there. Teach you how to do that.
I still don't really know how to subscribe.
Well,
so
I'll teach you after
I'm
the
going to have to
show.
go look at the video.
If you want to listen to another beer podcast that's not us for some reason, check out Stefan's show. It's called What's on Tap. It's the whatsontap.podcast.com if you want to find
guys.
the
Come
RSS
check the
URL.
show out.
It's all about, not all about, but features the European beer scene. It's Master Drinker and Stefan, and the Master Brewer and Matthias, and they come together to produce less than 30-minute reviews of whatever they're talking about that week. They go to various pubs. They go to the pubs themselves and review the beers in those pubs.
And you'll finally understand why we do super low-talking Stefan voice.
Exactly.
It'll actually be relevant to you.
Although he does sound like he's a little sped up on that. Like he sped up the tape on those.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe he did decide.
Well, do it at half speed, then you'll get real Stefan.
Leave us a review on iTunes. We'd appreciate it. It helps us get new listeners. Check us out on the social networks, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you have any feedback, you can email us at brewbloodshow@gmail.com or go to reddit.com/r/brewbloods. I forgot to mention earlier, my apologies. Thanks to Javi and Johnny for sending us the story about Northern Brewer and the brewery that was pulling their series kits from them. You can also call us at 469-573-BEER. That's 469-573-2337. So for
Is that it? Is that all our contact information? You should also follow Mark on Twitter because he does a very funny thing that his Twitter account is also linked to a club somewhere in South Texas, and they tweet events at him, and then he fake cancels them on Twitter. So it's a good ongoing bit that he does.
I appreciate that. It's the only thing I have going in my life.
It's only that and then living in a chair. Those
I'm
are the
only
two
known
things
for
he
that
does.
and, yes, being grafted to a chair. So
Right.
We'll catch you guys next week for episode 76. For Dustin, I am Mark.
For Mark, I'm Dustin.
Probst.
Probst.